Hey gang, Emersil here. I got very behind on my replays and posting them up on our YouTube page. So yesterday, ahead of the update, I just recorded them all while I was working. So I wasn't really watching anyone. I was just getting them recorded ahead of the update because once the game updates, I'm not able to run them anymore. So that's why this little line across the bottom, because we're actually watching a recording of the replay that I made that I am now going to actually sit and watch and dub over. This particular game, as you can see, I was a part of. But the game file was sent to me by Reejr, so this game is going to be from his perspective. This was a very interesting game, and it'd be interesting to see it from his perspective. I'm not giving anything away when I say that this one looked kind of dire, and it was a real struggle to stay in this game. I guess that's probably the best way to put that, without spoiling anything. I can tell you from memory, Reejr did a great job in a really clutch situation on a couple of occasions during this game that really made a difference. And I was out there in the Leningrad doing really not much of anything. We are top tier in a tier 7 match. Oh, in case you're not familiar, Reejr is captaining a ship called the Southern Dragon, which was a reward ship for an event some time ago, a couple years ago. And it's a Miyoko. For a long time, the Southern Dragon and all the ARP ships that we could win 3 years ago or more, they had their own kind of neon-colored skins, and you couldn't change that, and they didn't have any bonuses or anything. Well, recently, so as a result, as soon as they made, because you couldn't even sell them initially, 6-8 months ago, they set it up, well, okay, you can sell them if you want. I dumped all mine but one, and then after that, I guess much more recently, they made it so that you, as you can see, you can put whatever camo you want on them. So they make pretty good Japanese cruiser or even destroyer trainers, because there are a whole bunch of them, and there were a bunch of Congo variants as well. Okay, so you can see that we lost our Kirov pretty early. We're not quite 3 minutes in. We're down on points, but we do have a cap, and the enemy doesn't. Looks like we're going to secure a second cap, at least at this moment. Nice shot right over the edge of the island. Started a fire. If you hear slurping, it's just me drinking coffee. If I remember right, there was a Fijian. There's a Fijian there. He pushed me out of there. I wanted no part of that in a destroyer. But look at these volleys. Now I have to point out that Reejr's just running full broadside to a whole bunch of things, but nobody's targeting him. So no harm, no foul. We've got Atlanta. He did a really nice job of keeping people lit. He chose a spot kind of middle of the map and really helped us keep things spotted, especially as you saw there in that cap. There was a lot of smoke. Okay, so our team is now down 3 ships, and the enemy team is only down the Fiji. We do have a cap lead, but if you're looking at the little boxes on the upper right and upper left, you can see that our Belfast is in very bad shape. And he's kind of at the leading edge of the far side's engagement with the enemy. And you can see, if you're looking at the chat, I saw his position, ran over there to smoke him. He was kind of sitting there, and I smoked where he was located, and I knew my smoke no sooner stopped and he moved out of the smoke and got himself killed. Sometimes people just are not paying any attention to what's going on around them. You know, they just they zoom into binocular view and they just stay there until they realize they're almost dead, and then they don't pay any attention to whether there's somebody around them or not. They just try to run. And anyway, in this case, we're down 4 ships and the enemy's down 2. And there is the enemy radar. Now you can see where I'm positioned, and the distance to the Atlanta on the minimap is roughly the same as the distance that Reejr's at to him, which explains why I'm running away if you look on the minimap. Because while the Atlanta doesn't necessarily have shots on Reejr, he most certainly did have shots on me. And Reejr is doing a fantastic job of target selection. He's looking for people who are already damaged first, people that are at bad angles first, ships that he can potentially put out of the game. Now, Reejr was angled decently, but if you look at this thing in the center, I think when those shells struck, he was a little over a 30-degree angle relative to the Sinop. And the Sinop at range 10, which is where he was at, is just incredibly accurate. All those mid and high tier Russian battleships at that range are just, well, they have, at least as far as I can tell, like cruiser dispersion. Look at the tight little group all those shells landed in, and that's at 13 clicks. Well, our Nuremberg just decided to join the game. We're now down 5 ships. Enemy's down 3. And our KGV is really banged up. You can see he has he's moved north, and you know, he's trying to get healed up a little bit, but he really got beat up bad over there. That Iron Duke, the enemy Iron Duke and Janway are they're pushing north. Cleared the island. It's a nice shot to hit him at all from that range and over the island. Remember earlier when I was saying some people aren't paying any attention? One thing you'll notice there is Reejr fired his guns, he zoomed out, and he looked around. Really, really important. Any player that gets in that habit is ahead of the game. Okay, so there's Atlanta. But we know there's a DD in the cap because it is definitely turning. An excellent shot. Landed 7 shells and took almost half of the Atlanta's hit points. Three more shells. Atlanta's almost dead, but not quite going to be able to finish him. Had just a brief glimpse of Murmansk, who's also really banged up. Okay, we are now, well, we've lost we've lost 7 ships, and they have lost 3. There's Minsk, who flipped the cap. And as I mentioned earlier, it looked pretty dire at this point. They have 300 or 400 point lead. They have 2 camps to our 1, and nearly twice as many ships left in the game. Reejr's just continuing to work. Now, if I remember right, we were talking about a near certainty that the enemy is going to be pushing up to consolidate the Bravo cap. They're going to position themselves to be able to defend it. And Minsk is pushing out there behind Reejr's position, probably just spotting for his team. You can see I had an angle on him to spot him. Minsk has torpedo range that's pretty short. It's only 4 kilometers, if memory serves. Leningrad is basically the same ship, but with twice the torpedo range. Leningrad has an 8-kilometer range. You can see I'm I continue to ping because I really want the Minsk dead. Reejr is angling up to the Iron Duke. Taking a little bit of a risk there. He's at 35-40 degrees to that Iron Duke, but he continues to rain shells on him. Between he and the Nelson, probably going to burn Iron Duke down. But we're down to 4 ships now. Reejr got taken out, so we've got the Nelson, who has been working a lot, but finally goes down, which leaves us 3 ships to 7 enemy ships. And there's the Zhenwei's in this smoke. I'm just trying to keep the Minsk spotted. Reejr's trying to take out that DD because he doesn't want to leave a destroyer behind us. We can get rid of the DD, or if at least make the DD run away. We have a lot less to worry about. You see, he's keeping his guns trained in that direction until he is more or less out of harm's way. Okay, so we were discussing now, okay, what do we have to do? What are our priorities here? Well, we still have the Zhenwei we have to worry about. No, we don't. Excuse me. Zhenwei is dead. Completely lost track there. It's the Minsk that's still there. We've got to keep track of the Minsk. He's no longer spotted, and we've got cruisers moving into position to be able to put fire on us. You can see Reejr's only got 13,000 hit points left, and Grashbay can wreck a cruiser if he catches you and citadels you. Atlanta's almost dead. Minsk is a one-shot kill. There's some opportunities here for Reejr, and we were talking about it, and the pressure was on. I think I said something like, "Come on, Reejr, I need you to hit something." And I think his words were, I'll clean it up a little, but I am, something to that effect. And we were making fun of the fact that he left Atlanta on 136 hit points after 2 full volleys, and he's still kind of firing behind him, but he got him, which is clutch. The pressure is just huge right here because Ram and I both, I mean, you can see I got 260 hit points left. Ram and I both were saying, man, if you can't do this, then it's just going to be over. You're the only one with guns sufficient to make this happen, because our Nuremberg, I mean, look at his position. Reejr just stayed calm and cool and collected and smacked down the IOBA. Now I'm positioning my ship really just to help spot. And I know that if I get seen in the Leningrad with only 260 hit points, it's almost guaranteed that I'm going to get sunk. But given the fact that we are down by still over 100 points, I have to get into that Bravo cap. So we were talking about that. I'm going to have to push in there. And the Reejr's going to have to do something about the Murmansk if I can light him up again. I mean, you play this game, more than likely, or you wouldn't be watching this. So imagine you're in this situation. Look at where we were just a couple minutes ago. Now we're a little more than 100 points down. But now we're flipping another cap. We've got 3 minutes remaining. Almost, well, and it's true to say that everyone in the game, with the exception of Nuremberg, is a pretty easy one-shot kill. Now you'll have to ignore that comment there. But really, look at the Nuremberg. He's got more hit points than either of us, and he's hiding. Not sure what's wrong with the sound there in the replay, but see, we seem to be past it now. And Reejr makes the clutch shot. 2 minutes to go. 20 points behind. And now the conversation has turned to just don't die. Yeah, you just saw my really only important contribution to this game. I managed to cap the Bravo cap while our Nuremberg was doing nothing, and Reejr was just being a star. Minute and 18 seconds remaining, and Reejr's pushing for the cap. And you can see on the mini-map down there the last known position of the Iron Duke. Not much of a worry. I think at this point, Reejr and I were talking about just move to the north end of the cap, and that way, even if he has somehow stayed unseen, chances of him spotting you are pretty minimal. And I was sure that with his detection radius and mine, I mean the Iron Duke's and mine, that if he were down that way, I could spot him long before he saw me. 25 seconds to go. We've almost got this sewn up on points. Yeah, and that's it. Fantastic game. It was really so much fun to play. Thanks a lot for watching it, and I'll see you next time.